One of the greatest mysteries over much of the Souls franchise has been who the first son of Gwyn is. A god of war and heir to the sunlight who is stripped of deity and whose very name has been lost from the annals of history. Well, now we know this god of war's identity. He is the Nameless King. The Ring of the Sun's Firstborn has given some description of Gwyn's son throughout the whole series. In Dark Souls 3, it states, "The Sun's Firstborn was once a god of war, until he was stripped of his stature as punishment for his foolishness. No wonder his very name has slipped from the annals of history." So we now have some current justification for my opening claims. The golden crown of the Nameless King is said to closely resemble that of the First Lord, the First Lord being Gwyn. Yet, what really confirms the Nameless King as the son of the First Lord is his soul, which reads, "The Nameless King was once a dragon-slaying god of war, before he sacrificed everything to ally himself with the ancient dragons." Gwyn's firstborn most likely accompanied him on the battlefield during the war with the ancient dragons, but now we see what Gwyn's son's foolishness was that caused him to be disgraced and forgotten from history. He sided with the dragons. He sacrificed everything in that he gave up his entire life, family, and inheritance to side with his father's enemies. But why would he do this? Killing the eternal dragons let Gwyn start the Age of Fire and enter the world into a prosperous time. Yet, his son didn't see it as the right choice. Perhaps this is because the former king and war god tamed a stormdrake, in which he led a lifetime of battle. This could mean that because of the friendship the Nameless King had with the stormdrake we fight during his Phase 1, he had sympathy for the dragons and did not want to see them destroyed. Or maybe, like the Knights of Lothric, the Nameless King saw the potential in taming the great winged beasts, but could not convince his father of their use. I think there's definitely some push towards the idea of the friendship between the king and his stormdrake. As the storm-curved sword relates, the Nameless King, ally of the ancient dragons, fought beside the stormdrake in countless battles. When the great beast fell, the king claimed his soul, as was the custom in the Age of Gods. After a lifetime of battles, the two must have been close. This is truly seen when the player character fells the drake. Before claiming his soul, the Nameless King caresses the beast's horn, in an almost somber moment, hesitating to deliver the final blow and absorb his soul. The Nameless King also had some history with dragon slayer Ornstein. Ornstein was said to be the first knight of the sun's eldest born. We now know to be the Nameless King through the similar references of war god in both the Nameless King and Gwyn's firstborn. Additionally, the weapon that the Nameless King wields, the Dragon Slayer Sword Spear, is the earliest form of the cross spear. Ornstein's weapon of choice is a lightning-imbued cross spear, which he used during the time of the Dragon War, and as such is called the Dragon Slayer Spear. So, chances are, Ornstein's spear is a direct result of the Nameless King's. What's most impactful in Dark Souls 3 in the story of Ornstein and the Nameless King is that Ornstein's armor can be found at the site of the Nameless King's boss fight. His helm tells us what happened. In the Dragonless Age, so the current age we're in now, this knight, who long guarded the ruined cathedral, left the land in search of the Nameless King. So Ornstein left his post in Orlando to find his old master. There can be speculation as to why Ornstein wanted to see the Nameless King. He could have been angry with his lord for abandoning his old life and siding with the dragons, enemies of the gods. Or perhaps Ornstein simply wanted to be reunited with an old friend. Finding Ornstein's armor here could imply that he fought the Nameless King and was slain by him, but I'm not so sure. There's no corpse where we find the armor, just a white item glow. And Ornstein's weapon, the Dragon Slayer Spear, is found next to the entrance gate to the zone, almost as if he laid down his weapon before greeting his aged master. Ornstein and the Nameless King definitely could have fought, and it's likely that Ornstein would have lost the fight. But personally, and this might just be wishful thinking, I believe they didn't. FromSoft is usually very direct with their placement of items, bodies, etc. So it seems to me that this come together was less of an anger-filled one, and more of a peaceful reunion of old friends. But that is basically just speculation, and I could be wrong. The Nameless King is a ferocious opponent. He has amazing skill and prowess in fighting. After all, he was a god of war. This is clearly evident in his boss fight, which is probably one of the hardest in the game. His heritage gifts him with affinity to lightning, and he demonstrates a mastery of it, with his pinpoint lightning bolt throws in mid-flight, and his destructive, powerful lightning storm on foot. He sacrificed everything to do what he thought was right, and that's really all anyone can do in this dreary world of Dark Souls. So, the mystery's closed. Gwyn's firstborn isn't Solaire or any other previous fan theory, but the King of the Storm, a nameless king.